talking real. Man, we hit the sports stuff all the time. Real talk, we don't even mess around. I ain't got no reason to lie to you. Man, what you say? Man, it's real, dog.
Hey, what you doing? You know this is fire. Subscribe. Go ahead and hit that like button. And after that, make sure you hit the notification bell. You know it.
Let me break it down right quick for my haters, my dictators and bad raiders. Since you never seem to get it right no more, then right no more. Kick back your feet and watch your back from perpetrators. My game's strong and my range roll.
All right, welcome back, everybody, to Real Talk with
And
Rio.
now,
Yeah,
We're back.
we're in the last dance, and we covered 1 and 2 already, but now we're about to get into 3 and 4. Yeah, this it starts to get saucy. You know what I mean? It starts to get meaty. So we're about to get into that, man. We ain't even going. Man, let's just get straight into it. You know, it's just starting off in this episode. They already hitting up the whole Dennis Rodman thing. You know, now we're on that Dennis Rodman. You know, and you guys remember him from the Pistons years and how we couldn't stand him over there. So now we got him on the Bulls. Talk to me.
all right, the first thing I want to open up with, man, does Rodman speak the truth?
Yeah, I think Rodman speaks the truth, man. He's the type of player, he doesn't care what comes out of his mouth, what people think about him. So he's always keeping it real. So overall, I think he does speak the truth.
I mean, I believe he speaks the truth, but I was kind of like, I'm not sure, because he was talking about this whole, you know, I don't do drugs thing and everything like that. And I just don't get that, because I know he did drugs and doing drugs.
Well, he was saying that at the time, you know, before he started college. I think he was speaking on that part.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, he did.
But you know, on the updated time, you know, come on, man, you had to be.
Oh, yeah, you had to be on drugs, because number one, you got to remember, Rodman came into this league. No, he came to the league normal. But then, I don't know if you guys remember when he was in Detroit, he had that incident where he had the shotgun. Right. And he was sitting in the car, right? Do you know that he said in the interview for the documentary, he said if he didn't fall asleep, and he just did like this. So does that mean he was going to commit? So how bad was he? And you know, and then from that point, when he left Detroit, he just changed. The hair, the Madonna situation, and all that, man. And you know about the dress. So it's like, I don't know, man. I always felt a certain type of way about Rodman when he first came to the team, because I'm like, as a black man, you wearing a dress and stuff like that. It's like, no, for real, man. It's just too much. I'm not trying to be no homophobic or nothing. I'm just talking about, as a black person, just you're in there just wearing a dress, and you not considered yourself gay or whatever. You just coming in with a full-on wedding dress.
Yeah, you know, thing, man, that could be somebody without drugs or anything, but definitely after he got with Madonna and start getting with these celebrities and things like that, I think that influence hit him stronger. You know, that partying mode. I think that played his toll, because Rodman's face was like even looking crazier and crazier. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, it was. And I don't think it was drugs when he was thinking about it. I think it was more depression, and he was trying to, I guess, find himself. And maybe, I mean, who knows? I mean, let's keep it real, right? Maybe he was going through some sexuality issues, and then maybe he was like bisexual, and he was, because after that part, he left, and I mean, he ended up going, you know, to the Spurs, and that's when he started doing all the crazy stuff. Maybe that's when he started feeling better about himself, when he actually started doing that stuff, the cross-dress, and he started feeling better about himself. I mean, maybe that's what he was going through.
Yeah, what I really like about episode 3 is how at the beginning they talked about Rodman's early career, how he trained to be a great rebounder. And basically he would be like up at night, 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning, him and his friend.
Right.
And he'd tell his friend, hey, shoot the ball. You know, then he'll study the angle of the ball, the rotation, and he'll get to the spot where he thinks the rebounds are going to come to, and I just thought it was fascinating how he trained himself to be that great. It takes a lot of work.
I think it's incredible and shows a lot of intelligence and hard work ethic, because you got to think about this, man. Have you ever heard about any other player in the league talking about working on angles for rebounds? No, man. They talk about shot angles, how where they shot going to be at and stuff like that, but they never talk about no rebound. They don't care about defense like that.
Right, and not only that, he studied other players.
Yeah, he knew the rotation.
The rotation.
Like when Jordan shoots, I know to be right here. I know if he shoots, then it might go off angle. So that means he knows their rotation. That's pretty deep.
That took work.
And so you got to think, during the game and watching film, he's studying these other players. Mm-hmm. He's studying his teammates and his opponents.
Right.
This is something I don't think any coach would tell a player to do.
Yeah.
That Rodman came up with, on his own, so he has, how they say, crazy people is geniuses, right? They say,
right. No, he definitely did he definitely put work into his game, and it shows when he played, he gave 100%, and you don't see too many players doing that. I mean, some players, they work on their game, but mostly offensive, right? They work on the offense game, and him, he was working on rebounding. He wasn't thinking about scoring.
Yeah, he knew what his specialty was, and that was good, because that's what we needed in the Bulls at that time, man. It was a big deal to have Rodman and have his mind on the game. And speaking of that, I mean, with Pippen being gone, Jordan needed Rodman to step up. You know what I'm saying?
Definitely.
And then when they had that whole incident when he got kicked out of the game, and when he was ejected from the game, and Jordan was pissed off because he was like, "Man, I got to sit back and do everything." And
right. It's more work for him.
And it's crazy how it is, because I'm gonna say it like this: it's just like me and P, right? If we get into an argument, we might come back talking without ever saying sorry or saying anything. It's just we start talking, and that's basically like what Rodman did. He went to Jordan's room and asked for a cigar, and that was it. But they both understood that was him saying, "My bad."
Yeah, it was his way of apologizing to Jordan. Jordan knew it. They didn't have to say a word.
Yeah, that was
so. Let me ask you guys. With Pippen's absence, okay, that caused the team, to get in the mode, they had to step it up. Now, did that help the team, or did it do more damage?
I think it mostly helped the team. It helped them to play better as a team. Everybody else had to step up their game in order to make up for Pippen's absence.
Yeah.
So, in that way, I think they kind of gel better, right?
Yeah.
So everybody had to step up and whether it be rebound, scoring, defense, whatever they had to do, win. That's what they did.
And I think it hurt them in the beginning, because they had to get accustomed to it. And I think it wasn't until that incident that I mentioned with Rodman that they actually start playing well together, because now Rodman, he said he needs to be motivated. Right? He needed motivation. So he was bored. And I mean, he had how many championships already at this point?
Was it 3?
4?
No, he had about 4 at that time.
He had 4, because he had 2 with Detroit and 2 with the Bulls, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so when he was bored, man. It's crazy to sound like that, but he was bored, because they just got off that the 72-win season.
Yeah.
Right.
He's like, man, what else you want me to do?
All right, what else? Yeah.
I
thought when the Bulls picked him up, I wasn't too crazy about the trade.
Yeah.
I thought it was going to be a big distraction to the team.
Me too.
And it was going to bring him down, But it turned out to be a great pickup.
All right, so, with that, did it feel like when the Bulls got Rodman, it was like a villain turning into a superhero, going to the good side?
Yeah, I mean, basically, we hated the Pistons. And Rodman, he had beef with Pippen. I didn't know how him and Pippen was gonna get along. There was a lot of beef because you gotta remember what went down with the Pistons, and there's no way in the world that I was feeling like, that was gonna be a cool situation.
Right.
With the bad boy Pistons even coming over. So I was really shocked, to be honest with you. But I mean, I know he stopped off with the Spurs first, but still, I was just looking at it as, Rodman was a Piston. And I don't care if he came from the Spurs. I just didn't see how that stuff was going to work at all with the Bulls. But he ended up, turning it around. So I don't know. I feel like it was a good move, but initially I wasn't a fan.
Right. Yeah, I mean, I'm just glad it worked out. But Rodman is the type of player, he needs somebody to keep him in line. Back when he was with Detroit, I think he had Chuck Daly. He had Chuck Daly. He was real close with Chuck Daly, actually. They were real close. Kind of like a father figure, But he kept him in line, And I think something happened with them where, I don't know if their relationship changed or whatever, and then he started acting up after that. And then he left Detroit. And then when he came back to the Bulls, I think not too many coaches can handle Rodman.
So was he that good piece, man? Despite about Rodman's past and everything, when Rodman came, do you think he was a good piece to win it?
Definitely.
I think he definitely, if you put him in the right system with the right coach, because I was going to say a coach like Phil Jackson, I think Phil's probably one of the main only coaches in the NBA that could handle him at that time.
He was real cool with Phil.
He was real with him. Phil said, hey, you like this, I know the type of person you are, but as long as you do this, we're cool. And the crazy part I really thought was crazy was, what player asked for vacation during the season?
Oh, man.
Come on.
Yeah, that was crazy. And
and then for him to go to Phil and say, hey, man, I need a vacation.
And that was crazy because Mike was like, dog, shit, if anybody needs a vacation, I need a vacation.
Yeah, Mike was like,
how the hell he's going to take a vacation? Like, who? Like,
right.
So you wouldn't have gave him that 48 hours?
If
I was a coach, Rodman, I don't know. I had to have somebody follow
knowing and understanding who Rodman is.
I would. I thought because I thought that was a smart decision.
It was a very smart decision to do that at the time, but I don't know if any other coaches would have done that. They probably
let's think about this, man. You think about when I'll bring it up anyway. I mean, Jordan had a similar situation when he had to take a break when he was in the New York series and he went gambling. And after he did that, he had the one game he was, he was bad, but after all the controversy, then boom.
Yeah, but that was different though. He didn't take a vacation.
That was a night out.
That was a night out. Exactly. He just stayed up late, went and gambled with his dad or whatever.
That's what that is. Like,
yeah, that's totally different.
They gave Rodman 48 hours and he went what? A week, 3 weeks, 2 weeks?
No, he didn't go 3 weeks. He went.
No, but he went for
He went over the time, but then Jordan had to go get him.
Jordan had to go pick him up. Yeah, but he went. He was more than 48 hours, but it wasn't a week or nothing like that. It probably was 3 days.
What I thought was funny was when he went and asked Phil, say, I need a vacation. Phil was like, hey, man, you're going to have to tell Mike. You're going to have to talk to Mike, And he brought Jordan in, and Jordan's like, Phil, don't do this. I'm telling you.
Yeah, he said, you let him go. He's not coming back.
Coming back.
Right.
So, yeah, but they said, Mike, we all know the story. Mike had to go get him at the hotel.
Mm-hmm.
But it kind of made it seem like he went to Vegas to go get him all the way in Vegas.
No, he did.
But actually, he didn't. No, he went to get him in Chicago. Rodman, from what I read or saw, that he had 2 apartments in Chicago at the time, and he was at another apartment. He came back from Vegas within 48 hours.
Oh, okay.
But then he was at his apartment kicking him with
I thought he
Carmen.
went to Vegas. I'm happy you told
me.
No,
it seemed like it. Yeah, in his documentary, I was like,
the way they did the documentary, it made it seem like he flew to Vegas.
Check it out. When
picked him
up the whole time.
No, so Jordan went over there, picked him up, and he, what's his name was there?
Yep,
Carmen Electra was hiding or whatever.
Yeah. So okay, say like you Michael Jordan. Would that piss you the hell off, man? like that he had to leave, he wanted to leave? Like, you feel like you got to babysit a player? That would feel like he's abandoning the team, or you need him right now?
That would piss me off initially, but then when I saw how he started playing, I'd be like, okay, he needed that.
Yeah. Well, the whole thing that started there, because when Pippen, like you said, Pippen was out, he stepped up his game, and he was playing real good, when Pippen was out.
Mm-hmm.
And when Pippen came back, he felt that he was a third wheel now, because Pippen is back. Now we don't need you, or we're not dependent on you, so that's kind of like when he felt, hey, I need a vacation. I need to get out of here and
I need a vacation.
Vacation. So yeah.
So now with do you say, we know Rodman in Detroit was a dirty player?
Yeah.
Did he play his cleanest basketball with the Bulls? Or you think he would still have that dirtiness in him?
He still had some dirtiness in him. I mean, and then I think we liked it too, because we was like, yeah, so he could do some of the dirty work. You know what I'm saying? But I mean, keep it real, man. Rodman wasn't the dirtiest player on the Pistons. I mean, you already know.
But he did some dirt.
He did dirt.
He was dirty.
He was dirty.
No, he did some dirt. He was. I think he was more physical with Detroit than he was.
Because you look at those replays, he was slamming Jordan and Pippen.
Oh yeah.
Remember he threw Pippen.
Yeah, he threw Pippen.
You know what I'm saying? Like,
well, that was all part of the Jordan rule. They had that Jordan rule.
Yeah.
Mike goes, get him before he take off in the air.
Mm-hmm.
They were like going at him. That was brutal though, man. He took a beating. Him and Pippen. They were like all over him. Every time they went to the basket, man, just hammering him, clothesline, Bill Laimbeer. Now, that's who was dirty.
That's the dirtiest.
Talking about dirty.
I ain't got no respect for Bill Laimbeer. I ain't got no respect for Bill Laimbeer. He was the head of the the walk off.
Lynch mob.
We'll talk about that, man.
Right, and that's an interesting subject because back then it was very physical. The league, the refs and all that, they let them play.
There's no way
in the world. It took a lot for
world.
somebody to get kicked out the game, right? Just think how many flagrants they had in Pistons back in the days. You didn't see too many players get kicked out. Or
no, they was punching. Nobody got kicked out.
Games and all that, and I don't know how many players could play back in that era. What do you guys think?
Yeah, I don't think so, man. They'll be whining, especially like LeBron. LeBron would be crying.
Nah,
crying. He'll be crying.
He
had to toughen up, man.
LeBron, crying.
No, if anybody could play back then, it would be LeBron because of the body.
No, the person that could play back
so
then.
Physical and
Draymond.
I think he could.
Draymond could play back then.
Draymond could play, but I think LeBron is one of the main players that could play back then.
LeBron can't take it.
Yeah,
I don't know if LeBron can take it.
Yeah.
Can you imagine Shaq playing back then?
Shaq could take it.
I know he could take it.
Shaq could take
destroying.
But Shaq played some of it. What you mean?
Shaq can take it, man.
Yeah,
he was
built for that.
They invented Hack-a-Shaq.
Yeah, he could be.
Come on, man.
So let me ask you this, right? Y'all would have took Grant or Rodman?
Oh man.
What do you mean? If you had a choice? Or?
You had a choice.
Yeah.
You had a choice.
So you have Grant, and you already won 3 championships with him. Continue with Grant, or
stay with Grant, or you said no. Let's take Rodman.
We don't know what's going to happen.
Stay with Grant.
Yeah,
I probably would stay with Grant because Grant would, he was a decent offensive player. Rebound, he played a little defense. Yeah. I don't know. It would have been tough because you like Rodman, Grant. Rodman had his issues.
I'll take Rodman.
It's a gamble.
I'll take Rodman. Yeah, I'll take Rodman because when Rodman.
Wait, you talking about Rodman coming from San Antonio? Is that what we talking about?
Yeah, that's what we're talking about.
Yeah, see, right at that time, he was.
I would take Rodman because of the fact that we needed that dirty player. You remember we had Oakley, we lost Oakley.
Right.
All right. And he was the enforcer. And Jordan, had a good relationship with Oakley. When we lost Oakley, man, I mean, look, when he was in the Knicks, he was still an enforcer. He was fighting with us. You know what I'm saying? So I think that Grant wasn't on that level yet. He's not an enforcer like that. You know, and Grant's a great player, you know. But
Yeah, Grant is good. He was good.
Yeah.
but I would rather take Grant gives us more offense than Rodman. But
Definitely.
Rodman gives us way more defense and a hustle presence that is unmatched.
Rodman
Right,
is one of the greatest role players you can have
Yeah,
on
the
the team.
greatest.
And I mean, let's compare it. You know, Grant stretches the floor, right? He
Right.
had more offense.
Yep.
He could guard the fours and centers.
Yep.
But Rodman could guard anybody on the court. Rodman's
That's true.
footwork was better.
Yeah,
Grant.
yeah,
Definitely was a
he
better defensive player.
He was more you know, being more physical. You could say it matched, so Rodman had a little bit more, but he was more peskier than Grant was. You know, he frustrated a lot of people. I mean, you get people that hate you, you're taking them out your game. Grant didn't do that to you. You
Right,
know,
right.
like Rodman had people that hated him. you
No,
know,
they straight haters.
Yeah.
No, I feel you. I feel you on Rodman, but also what a big thing that was in this episode too that I really appreciated is that they got into the Doug Collins part.
yeah.
Because Doug Collins, man, I ain't gonna lie to you, I like Doug Collins. I really like Doug Collins, and you know who I had that same feeling of Doug Collins that I had of Mark Jackson with the Warriors. So when I saw Doug Collins, I was just like, man, you know, I see Jordan, I see the team. We had Pippen and everybody, Pippen and Grant and everybody was doing good. And like Collins said, Collins, man, while he was with Collins, he was MVP of the what's his name? What's that? The All-Star game. He was defensive. Yeah. He was defensive player of the year. And
scoring,
a slam dunk champion, and scoring. He had everything.
Yeah,
everything.
But that also was the problem, because Doug Collins was all about Jordan.
Pass it to Will.
He said, like Doug said, if you have a player with that caliber, you know, what are you gonna do? You just pass him the ball and get out the way.
It sounds good, but
You know?
look, who else does that right now?
Yeah, James Harden.
Yeah,
Westbrook.
Dan
like that.
Dan Antoni. So he's sitting up there, and that's why they won't win a championship. They won't win a championship like that, man. You can't. Jordan figured out how to change the game, and we talked about this before, so we ain't gonna get back on the LeBron thing. So I'm not gonna go on why Jordan is better than LeBron and how LeBron is not the GOAT.
Subject. That's another subject. Yeah, we're not gonna touch on that. Right?
So with Doug Collins with doing that with Michael Jordan, it was like he was unleashing the beast. Like, should he have caged him in more, or just let him and see what happens?
It's not about
caging. I think he had no choice.
Yeah,
the type of team they had. I mean, they had a few decent players.
They had a good team, but it's not. It's unleashing the beast. Because look, it's easy to unleash a Michael Jordan. It's easy to unleash Michael Westbrook and James Harden.
You couldn't contain Jordan, man.
But here's the problem: you have to learn how to share and make your other players better.
Right.
And that's when Jordan started winning championships.
Right.
It's very simple. And the only reason why they start sharing is because Phil Jackson and following the
well, let me ask you this then.
the triangle.
So you think he elevated Jordan's game by doing that? Because you know, you see Jordan was like no other player you ever seen at the time.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like seeing how it goes. Unleash the beast. Do your thing. And let's go from there. Let's measure the team from there. And what we need to do.
What kind of coaching is that? I could coach that. Now, so you look at the evolution of Doug Collins, right? So he's getting Jordan. He's all about Jordan. You know, feed Jordan the rock. Jordan is loving him. He's loving Doug Collins because Doug Collins is doing exactly what he wants. And then you see they get into, and then we get into the 89 playoffs. All right. And then we got the Bulls versus the Cavs, the Cleveland Cavs with Doherty and Mark Price and
that was a stack Cleveland.
Ron Harper. They were the 3rd seed. Okay.
Right.
And I think probably Detroit was probably number 1 or something like that. But we're talking about a stacked squad, right? And back then it was best out of 5. And so they ended up, the Bulls, as we know, ended up going all 5 games with them. And we know that infamous shot on what's that dude's name?
Craig Elo.
And what I found interesting, because you were talking about that, Ralph, is that whole situation with Ron Harper. Ron Harper wanted to get in.
Yeah, they were in the huddle, timeout, and the coach said, told Greg Elo, "You're gonna guard Jordan." And Ron Harper looked at him like, "What the F you mean?"
Right, I need to be guarding him.
Yeah, I need to be on him.
And even Jordan said it.
Oh yeah,
Jordan was like, I don't know why they put Elo on me. He said Ron Harper was guarding me the best.
Yeah, can you imagine how Jordan he was looking like? Wait, you guard me?
And he's like,
you on me right now? Okay.
Yeah.
Whose idea was this?
He was happy with that.
No, he was happy with that.
I mean, that season, man, Cleveland had a good season.
They had a great season, bro.
They had a good team.
They had a great season, man. They had a good team. I mean, you talk about Brad Doherty, Larry Nance, Mark Price, Harper, Elo, Hot Rod Williams.
Hot Rod was on there too?
Yeah.
I believe so.
Okay. They had Hot Rod. I mean, they
That's crazy, man.
They were supposed to win that series.
They had a good team.
Oh, they had them. Yeah. They had them set to sweep the Bulls. Some of them had them,
because it would have been them or Detroit going to the championship.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so they had a real. I mean, Bulls had no chance with the experts.
Right.
They didn't have a chance, man. So do you think that was that shot, even though they lost that year against Detroit, do you think that just helped Bulls spiritually? Like,
definitely.
Yeah, well, I think Chicago at that time, when they beat Cleveland, it definitely helped their confidence to see that they're starting to get better in the East. Now they can compete with some of the better teams. And that one shot right there just made history. We all remember that shot.
Yeah, that was huge, man. And then for them to go on to go play Detroit, that's when the whole rivalry really started. They got to that point, and Detroit was rough, man. Detroit was rough. They was beating up on the Bulls. They was killing. Man.
Now wait, let me ask this before we go more into Detroit part. If the first round was a 5-game series, it was a 7-game series. And Bulls had to do Cleveland in a 7-game series. Do you think they would have survived? Because that first round, you could sneak that series, man.
Oh yeah, anybody could sneak it. That's why they had to change it.
Teams, teams can have a bad, slow start. You know what I'm saying? In the series.
Man, just think about. Man, go back in history. Like, just think about with the Warriors playing Houston that one year when Houston had the big lead, right? And then the Warriors had to come back and stuff like that. If they would have had the 3 games.
Didn't Warriors sweep the Jazz in the first round or something?
Did they beat Dallas? What thing? Dallas?
They beat Dallas. Yeah.
Warriors beat Dallas?
Yeah,
Dallas.
Dallas was the number 1 seed.
Dallas was number 1 seed.
And then it was with the We Believe Warriors, with Baron Davis. And
exactly.
They took
a quick 3.
Yeah, because I remember me and Rob, we was going out of town, and we was watching the game at the airport and stuff. You remember that?
Mm-hmm.
So
I remember.
That was crazy. We was going to Florida.
But see, the Run TMC Warriors, they won the first round against the Jazz one time.
They probably did. They
You know what
probably
I'm saying?
did with that
They snuck one.
with that
Yeah.
5-game series. Yeah,
With that 5-game. I think they snuck one in. You know, the Lakers and Phoenix had a tough one. You remember when Phoenix was down 0-2 or something like that?
Yeah.
Or 2-1 or something, and Paul Westphal was like, look, we're gonna win it in LA. And then we're gonna come back and win it in Phoenix. Everybody thought he was crazy. But them days, man, that first round
was
you couldn't sleep.
That first round
it was tough. It was tough.
First round was like bingo. That first round was like playing poker, and you know you got unlimited rebuys, man. Everybody's just taking chances until they get to the part where the rebuys are over. It was just crazy, man. And you don't know who's gonna win that first round. And I think that's why they changed the format, because it was just too unpredictable, man. Because you needed to really get your feet under you. But the good thing is that with the Bulls, though, man, once they started to get winning, you know, it was rare that they were down by that much. The most they was down was by like 2 games. So and they never lost more than 2 games in the series, I think.
Right. And never look back. Yeah.
So that was pretty incredible. But what I was gonna say something about
Detroit.
About Detroit. Yeah. So with Detroit, so one important footnote at the end of episode 3 is that you see the Bulls losing to the Pistons, and if you watch that, they shook their hands, man.
Oh yeah.
They shook their hands. There was no haters stuff going on.
Through all the dirty plays, the dirty fouls.
Everything. Jordan was the first one there, shaking their hands, congratulating them.
And all of them gave them hugs or whatever. So I want everybody to remember that, okay? This end of this episode, remember that before we get into the next episode, because that's going to be important stuff that we talked about. And the last thing on the list is that, you know, like when we were talking about, you know, they said Rodman needed a vacation and all that, and when Scotty came back, and do you think that affected Rodman feeling like he was the third wheel? Do you feel like that was legitimate, like feeling like, do you think he was too sensitive with that? Should he have just like, man, like just man up, let's play the game? Or it's like cool that he was just like, oh man, Pippen's back, so I'm gonna start playing different now.
It's like the love is different. The level of love is different.
It felt kind of childish to me, man.
I could understand somebody having mixed emotions about it.
Right.
Me personally, I would understand it's a team thing, and I know my role, my ranking. But I could understand somebody is like, oh, okay, now you need me.
Right.
Pipping back. Now it's like, oh yeah, stand right there real quick. You know what I mean?
Right.
So it's just you know, the way people is you know, coming at delivering that emotion to them. You know,
right. Especially the way Pippen, you know, did what he did, as far as, you know, had his surgery at the wrong time or whatever.
Yeah.
And he felt, hey, this guy's not being a team player. You know, I stepped up my game.
Yeah.
Right.
And now he's back. Now you guys push me to the side, and
it's a Pippen party. Like, hey, Pippen, you back. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
Or it should have been like, Pippen, man, hurry up, man, suit up, let's go. You know.
And he could also felt like, hey, man, I've been busting my ass, you know, since he was out. I'm tired. I need a vacation. You know what I'm saying?
But that's basically,
it's a good time for me to take a vacation because he's back.
Like Michael Jordan said, if there's anybody that need a vacation, it was him. All right.
That's
so
true.
So that was the end of episode 3, man.
Good episode.
You know, that was a great episode, lots of details. I'm loving this whole documentary. This is I'm telling you, man, with this whole Corona COVID thing, this is the best thing that's on TV right now, man. All right, so we had Doug Collins as the coach of the Bulls, right? And we see what's going on with Krause. I mean, we haven't talked about Krause for a minute. Krause is in the background just trying to get Doug Collins to work with Tex Winters, you know, because he wanted somebody to work with Tex. Tex was preaching that triangle offense, man. And I'll be honest with you, why was why was Doug Collins so resistant to Tex Winters? So, somebody explain that to me.
I think it's mostly because he was going to change the offense.
Right.
And he wanted to keep the offense he had with Michael Jordan being the main focus of the offense. You know. And
but why wasn't he more open-minded though? I mean, why you gotta be so close-minded? Why weren't you more open-minded?
If you're the coach, man, you want to feel like you have control of being the coach. You know, you don't want to seem like somebody is just on the side taking. That's like when you get your paycheck, somebody telling you how to spend your money. You know, and it's like, yo, man, this is mine. I got this. And then plus, you know, maybe Tex Winters, in Doug Collins' point of view, was like, all right, you caging the beast more, and I'm trying to release the beast and keep him out there, you know. So that's probably
You could have felt that he was stepping on his toes too, you know, and you know, he was assistant coach or whatever. He didn't want to, you know, he wanted to call the shots, you know.
Okay.
So,
but I don't know, man. When I look at it as a whole, and you look, of course, we're looking at hindsight. It just seemed like Doug Collins he made the wrong decision, and I feel like he could have kept his job if he would have just been open. And then is the fact that Krause was he told Phil Jackson, hey, go work with Tex, because you remember it got so bad between Doug Collins and Tex is that Doug Collins kicked Tex off the bench,
pushed him out,
and then so now he's on the side. Now Phil Jackson is talking to Doug. I mean, Phil Jackson's talking to Tex, and he's learning all the stuff. He's like, and he's learning, and then so here we go. Even Doug Collins said, man, you know, after my second year, I felt like Phil could be the coach. He felt that way because he knew he messed up. He knew that Phil was learning. He was like, no, give it to me. Give it to me, Tex. I love it, you know. And, you know, Phil was working with him. Doug was, he thought he was untouchable, especially since they made it to the Eastern Conference Championship. He probably thought, man, you know, I'm good. I won't get fired. You know what I mean?
But, you know, with Doug Collins, man, his game plan wasn't scientific.
No, it wasn't. That's what I'm saying.
It wasn't scientific at all.
I could have did that.
Just off of pure talent with Jordan, they made it to the Eastern Conference Finals.
Mike Van Antoni.
You know what I'm saying? So,
yeah, but that's not taking nothing away from Doug, though, because he was a good coach.
You know,
I mean, I thought he was a decent coach.
I thought he was an alright coach, but at the end of the day, back then, I thought he was a great coach. But it was not until after I was like, nah, he wasn't that good. And the same thing about Mark Jackson. Mark Jackson, I felt like, man, Mark Jackson's a great coach. He got a raw deal. But I ain't gonna lie to you, I feel like Kerr is a better coach. I think he's a better coach, and he understood.
Well, we don't know that.
I know it because I used to
stay there.
I used to make this argument all the time to my boy when we was driving from work. I was like, man, what I don't like, and that was when you remember when the Warriors kept losing to the Clippers, right? It was just like the Bulls. It's just funny because it's like history repeats itself, right? But they got over the hump after they got with Kerr. Okay, same thing. Phil Jackson over the hump with Detroit. Kerr, what I noticed, not Kerr, but Mark Jackson, what I noticed is that during the timeouts, he first of all, he didn't know when to call a timeout, to bring him into the huddle, to really come up with a plan when crunch time mattered. I'm telling you, man, that was my biggest gripe with Mark Jackson. I felt like he didn't, in crunch time, he didn't know what to do. During the game, it was easy, right? But when things started to get crazy, he didn't know how to bring the team together and put together a good plan. And I think that's where Steve Kerr comes into play. And the same thing, that's where Phil Jackson comes into play. He knew how to, let's bring the team together. Okay, you gotta understand, Kerr was under Phil Jackson and under Popovich. So he understands, trust me, he's seen great coaches break.
He was more seasoned. He
had a good resume. He had a good resume.
Yeah,
but I would have liked to see if
Mark Jackson
stayed there to see, you know, if they would have done anything, if they would have won any championships or whatever.
I felt like they wouldn't have gotten.
And who knows? I mean, he could have done a great job. He could have won championships while he was there.
I think Mark Jackson is great as far as finding talent. Like they should have kept him on the team to be able to
coach the staff.
He's just part of the organization. Period. To get better players because he's the one that got Curry. He's the one that got Draymond. He's the one that got Clay. He knew and he called it from the beginning. He said they're the best backcourt in history, right? So he saw it. People laughed at him.
Right.
It's just that he couldn't get over that coaching.
Well, what I find interesting is how come he never coached again?
Because I think somehow.
I mean,
I think
know
that
he
was
issues.
He was blackballed with the
right. He could have been blackballed
with the religion thing.
That could have been the main reason.
So.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, with that triangle offense, man, it was more scientific. And look at this, right? Before we go into that, I mean, with Doug Collins, Jordan was the scoring champ, the MVP, slam dunk, all of that. That's great. But when you're in championship mode, what's it more important? All those individual accolades?
Right. Yeah, I agree 100%.
Or, you know what I'm saying, getting your team together and getting some kind of real plan, going on and winning this thing, did Jordan need to be a scoring champ for them to win the whole championship?
And
he
that's,
need to be
and
he
MVP?
did.
He
didn't need to.
He didn't need to, and that's where Phil Jackson came into play because Phil Jackson realized that it's not all about your individual efforts. It's
Jordan gonna score.
Jordan's gonna score.
Right.
But could you imagine if you have the other team scoring too? And that's why the Warriors are so dangerous. It's not just about Curry. It's not just about Clay. It's about everybody having the opportunity. And if you can't double team anybody, then what are you going to do? So if you try to double team Jordan, but you got Pippen, and then you got Ron Harper, and you got Steve Kerr, and you got Hodges, or you got, what's that other dude's name? B.J. Armstrong, what you going to do? So that's why it makes a big difference. And that's why it was so hard for LeBron to win championships because he couldn't make his other players great.
And
he had to throw that one in there.
That's a jab.
Straight jab.
No, but it just with Phil Jackson and Tex Winter's offense, man, they had a lot more movement. Even when you play street, when you play blacktop ball, one thing we say to our teammates, look, let's have some movement.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, if you standing there, y'all lose.
And then the offense going to flow better. You know what I'm saying? So,
right. And I felt bad for Doug, being there. The team they were getting better and trying to get over the hump, and all of a sudden, bam, they pull the rug from under him and Phil Jackson steps in. And even Mike said he wasn't a big fan of Phil.
No, he wasn't. He wasn't a big fan of Phil because he took the ball away from him. So
he took the ball away from him, but his plan elevated many of the teammates, which made them better as a team.
You see, Phil Jackson had a little Rodman in him in his playing days, right? He had a little.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, you see those old clips of Phil? Man? He had a little game back then. Yeah.
He was like a hippie. You think he had the Bulls at practice time?
Yeah.
They said he took some acid, during back in the day.
He did.
So I'm pretty sure he was chiefing. He was doing all that.
But did he had the Bulls like that? Because there was times he had them kind of meditating and hitting the peace pipe.
I don't know if he would take that chance. You know what I mean? Maybe him and Rodman to do it, but I don't know.
Probably half the team.
I wonder if that's going to be an episode. 9 and 10. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think that's why him and Rodman kind of hit it off. They could understand each other.
So Rodman, what you need a break for? Yeah, man.
But with that Pistons series, man.
Man.
Pippen's migraine.
Oh man.
I mean, you had a game 7. You had a game 7.
I remember that game.
big migraine.
Yeah, I remember that.
Oh man, I was like,
was
what's
that a
going
blow?
on here?
Was that a
Yeah.
kick to the nuts or what?
Oh my God, that was frustrating to
That
watch
was so
that game.
frustrating because we at home, we trying to figure out what's going on. We like, why Pippen not playing? And then they talk about Pippen. But Pippen said he couldn't see.
He couldn't see.
He couldn't see.
What could you do? Like George
What
said.
you
And he was
do?
breaking. You saw how he was
migraine.
breaking. He was missing layups.
Yeah, he was missing
He was
layups.
like-
He didn't know how to
Yeah,
pass
man.
it good, anything.
It
You
was
know,
terrible.
But he came back though. He came back toward the end.
Yeah,
He
but
did
they
okay.
still lost.
Yeah.
you know, but you know, with Detroit taking that series, and you know, we talked about it earlier with Jordan shaking hands and the team shaking their hands.
That was
even
the
through
second
all the
time
ass
they
whooping they
lost,
took. You know, yeah,
That was the second time. They shook hands again.
yeah, they shook
You know
hands
what I'm
again,
saying?
man.
Shook hands. He congratulated him.
Okay.
So-
He-
So you think the Pistons, man, like Bulls learned a lesson? You think that Pistons team educated the Bulls to they elevated their game mentally, physically?
I think it prepared them. All the times they were getting beaten up by Detroit, Pistons, and I think it made them better, Because after a while, you get beaten up, you're either gonna go down or you're gonna do something about it,
Yeah.
to beat the other person.
Yeah, it definitely made them stronger.
It made them
And,
stronger. Exactly.
They also, one thing that I really congratulate the Bulls on is that they were professional and they had a lot of good sportsmanship, and that was very key because they were like, you know what? All right, they were the better team. Good job. All right, we'll see you guys again. And they went and work harder. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
And that brings us all to, I guess you could call it Shakegate or whatever you want to call it, or whatever, no hands, whatever. But I think that, and I remember this clearly, man. I know P, you remember. I remember this clearly. That series, and when we took out the Pistons, and we swept them. I know it was embarrassing. They was mad.
They spanked them bad.
Man, they was mad. They was trying to, beat us up in the last game, the fourth game, and everything. But we still took it. And the biggest thing, man, is that I couldn't believe my eyes when I'm watching the screen and I'm seeing the Pistons. And I remember Marv. It was Marv Albert. He was like, the Pistons just left. They just left. Yeah. And Jordan is sitting there shaking his head. And, Isaiah leaving and Lambeer was talking in his ear and all this. And I was disgusted, man. I tell you right there from that point, if there was any time that I may have had a chance of giving some respect to the Pistons or Isaiah Thomas, it all went out the window. Yeah, I was completely done with the Pistons. I was completely done with Isaiah Thomas because Isaiah was the leader and he showed poor sportsmanship. Everything he got after that, he deserved it. That's how I feel. 100%.
Well, I don't know about everything. But
everything. You tell me something he didn't deserve.
I remember that, and a couple of things that led on to them walking off the court, I think, was one of the comments Jordan made to the media prior to a couple of games in that series. He was saying how Detroit Pistons they weren't worthy of championship. They were bad for the game, and I think it made Detroit, it pissed them off. So they probably said, hey, you know what? After they lost that game,
so why didn't
we're not shaking their hands?
So why didn't?
I'm not saying it's right, but
if that was the case, why
I think that kind of led on to part.
Why didn't Isaiah mention that then?
What's that?
Why didn't Isaiah talk about that? Because
he did mention it.
This is the first time I'm hearing this one.
No, I think he did mention it because he was saying how he talked bad. They were talking bad about Detroit fans. Period. Everybody from Detroit was mad at that because he was saying that to the media. And it was almost like they did it for the fans by walking off the court. You see how they were cheering?
No, of course.
On the way out, high five, and
So you think?
Didn't the fans say they wanted LA to win?
Yeah. I think they won it. Yeah, they was hating hard.
Oh yeah, of course. They got sweat.
Yeah, but here's
Yeah.
Go ahead, boy. I'm sorry.
no, but all I was gonna say is that for the fact that the Pistons, they couldn't even walk off with dignity, man.
Yeah.
Cause you gotta show some form of class, man. And Isaiah, he has shown from then to now that he has no class. He has no class.
No.
Every time I see him, he does some shady stuff, man. He does shady stuff. Like in the this All-Star game that was in Chicago, when he was on First Take, he was still talking smack. He was still talking extra, and he from Chicago. And then people in Chicago was booing him. He could have just did some extra. He know that he can't be coming to Chicago even thinking about talking. I don't have no respect for Isaiah. And Go ahead.
It did tainted his reputation, his character. You know, I agree with you, but I felt bad that he wasn't on the dream team. A lot of
hell no, I don't feel bad.
That kept him off the dream team by him not shaking Jordan's hand and all that.
I agree.
Which I totally agree with you that he should have shook his hand. He should have been a better person as a captain of the team.
Yep.
He should have told the rest of the players, "Hey, we're gonna shake their hand because they shook our hands when we whooped them."
Correct.
Right?
Let me ask y'all, who was the dirtiest player on the Pistons?
Lambeer.
And who had the idea of not shaking hands?
Lambeer. They said that. That's what they said, but I think
but who was the leader of the team?
No,
Isaiah's the leader.
Man, Lambeer could be like, man, let's walk off. Isaiah be like, no, man, I'm not doing that. If you're gonna do it, you can do it, but I'm gonna shake hands.
No, but see, the thing about the Pistons is,
and Sally didn't want to do it.
They all want to back each other up. You know what I'm saying?
But why did they promote him as the leader all of a sudden?
Right. I guarantee you. Well, I don't know about guarantee, but most likely if Isaiah would have said to the rest of the players, "Hey, we're gonna shake their hands." Okay? Yeah. We're gonna be the bigger person.
We're gonna be the bigger person.
You know, because they did it when we whooped on them. I think most of them would have followed. You know, followed him.
They would have followed.
Now, I'm gonna say this. There's a couple of things. We know Isaiah's wishy-washy. One day he says Jordan the greatest, the next day he says LeBron's the greatest.
Right.
He's wishy-washy. You got to catch Isaiah on a certain day to get the truth from him.
Right.
Now the second thing is, at that time they got swept. Like Isaiah said, man, we didn't expect to get swept like this. Right. When he said that. Now the thing is, when they got swept that game, I know Isaiah didn't want to shake no hands. So I know when Lambeer said, let's not shake their hands, Isaiah was with it. Like, cool,
he was cool. He was like perfect, man.
No, that's
a good. Me out. You know what I'm saying?
Definitely right on that. But check this out though. You remember when Boston lost to Detroit? Yeah. I forget if it was the year before that or a couple years before that.
Yeah, like 85.
And they walked off the court.
They shook hands.
Right? Isaiah had to go chase Mikal to shake his hand.
But they shook hands.
Boston did the same thing. Do we? It
was just Mikal.
Nobody talks about Bird walking off the court or anybody.
They left off the court a minute before the game was still.
Right. Somebody was shooting a free throw.
Bird and all of them.
Same thing Detroit did.
Yeah, but
Detroit left before the game was over.
That's why Isaiah used that excuse, like.
But that's weak.
They did it, so we was doing it. But that's weak because the Bulls shook y'all hands, man, and you took the handshake.
Yep. That wasn't Boston you played.
Gratitude.
Thank you.
I agree. I agree.
If Boston walked out on y'all and did shake your hand, and the next year they
played
beat
Boston,
you walk out on
them. You don't shake hands.
But if the Bulls been shaking your hands for 2 years in a row, they deserve to get their hands shook.
That's it.
I agree, but it goes back.
Bro, you got us.
I agree, but it goes back to what I was saying, that Jordan was bad-mouthing Detroit, saying they weren't worthy a championship team, and
they was dirty.
They were dirty. It made them. It gave them,
they made the Jordan rules.
Mm-hmm.
They was. I mean, Jordan rules. Yeah, you got a strategy to stop Jordan because you seen the weakness in his game. But part of that was to knock him on his ass.
Hey.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying?
All I know is at the end of the day, I love the fact that Isaiah didn't get to go to the Olympics. I love that.
Well, you know what? Rumor has
it.
it that it wasn't the reason why.
Well, he had beef
mainly he had beef with so many other players.
Yeah, he had beef with Jordan, Magic, Pippen,
Bird,
Utah,
Malone.
So what? It would have made the whole dynamic of the Dream Team totally different.
I don't know if they ever done that. I don't know.
But it was. I would have looked at it as the opportunity to heal it.
Exactly.
But
that's exactly what I was about to
they
say.
spending all that time together.
Do you see Isaiah as a person that would heal something at that time?
He would have healed it because
he wasn't ready.
No, but the Dream Team came together so well, man.
Because all of them was cool.
I know
what's that? Isaiah he wasn't like that, man.
Yeah,
he's still not like that. He's still not like that. Think about it. No, I hate Isaiah. I can't stand that dude. No, I can't stand Isaiah. Seriously. That dude, I ain't got no love for him. I wish he was never from Chicago. I'm serious, man. I don't like that dude, man. I don't like that. He's an embarrassment. He's an embarrassment to Chicago.
Dude, man.
Yeah, Isaiah, man.
Best point guard.
I don't care.
Isaiah, my favorite.
Isaiah, the game.
Still my favorite
boy,
Look,
man.
Isaiah, you still my favorite all-time point guard, but you was on some bullshit.
Yeah. That's it.
All right? That was that.
I give him his props, man. As a player, I give him his props. He made some mistakes, right? He made some mistakes.
Man, Isaiah made a lot of mistakes, not just with that shaking hand. Beyond that, he made mistakes.
I wish he could have said that if he had to do it over again, not shaking Jordan's hand, he would have done it, but he's still sticking to that story. Like,
He made it.
I wish he would have changed.
Watch down the line. He's going to change what he said later. He always do that.
He already did change it. He already said some like he would have done it type stuff.
So do you guys think the Pistons was the flagrant foul?
Of course. They invented the flagrant foul.
They birthed it because you had a tough New York. You had Boston. Was tough.
New York was just
was physical.
New York was just a copy of the. They were a copy of the Pistons.
East was physical.
They was physical as hell.
Ooh,
Indiana, Boston, New York.
But they had to be. They had to be because to get through Jordan, they had to be physical.
It was a big man game, so big man is physical.
Yeah.
And think another thing, just to think about it. The Bulls, was probably the only team in the East that didn't have a center. You know what I'm saying?
No, they had a three-headed center. They had to have three centers.
But it was a big man game at that time, and they won it without a big man.
Yep. Right. Bulls was starting to teach people how to do it without the center.
Big man.
It was all about that.
Look at Detroit's center rotation: Mahorn, Sally, Lambeer, James Edwards.
Yeah, no, they were serious.
Yep.
The Knicks had Ewing. Herb Williams, or whoever else, but Ewing was just the superstar.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Indiana, they had big 7'4" Rick Smits.
Mm-hmm.
Cleveland had Doherty.
Yeah.
You just keep going. Atlanta.
Boston
Atlanta had Moses Malone.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Kevin Willis,
yeah.
Boston had Chief.
Yeah, Mikhail the Chief.
And, you know what I'm saying? And things like that. So Bulls was like the only team in the East
that didn't have
a center, and they won it in the big man era.
In the big man game, because they were changing the game. Yeah.
That whole decade. You know what I'm saying?
All day long.
Wait. They did have Cartwright, didn't they?
You know what Jordan used to call Cartwright?
I'm just saying.
You know what Jordan used to call Cartwright?
What?
Medical bill.
Wow.
Okay. He used to call him medical bill.
Wow.
Hey, Cartwright kept it together though. He was the motivator.
He was gritty.
Yep.
He was,
Yeah.
But come on, man. That wasn't going, you know what I'm saying? Like,
that crazy shot he had.
He made his little baseline shots and things like that, man. But come on, man.
He was a force in the middle. I mean, that's why he picked him up.
Cartwright is a piece you're looking for, man.
He was a force in the middle. They forced him in the middle. That's it.
Yeah.
That's it.
What's in the middle?
Yeah, that ain't going.
You know, now let me ask you guys this. At that time, you know, during the Pistons series, and even, or you could just say in the 90s or whatever, them battling out with the Knicks and things like that. Was Pippen soft? Would you consider Pippen soft?
I think
he was getting bullied, you know.
He was getting bullied, but then
because Mike had to step up for him.
Yeah, Mike had to step up. Without Mike,
yeah,
he wouldn't grow some.
Big brother, you know. Yeah,
he had to grow some. And then Mike said it. Mike was like, "Yeah, Pippen needed that person to show that they had his back." So was Pippen soft?
And that's when he got tough.
Pippen started off soft, but then he got hard. I mean, I just think about that video. I don't know why it irritated me so much when I saw the video of Charles Oakley holding Pippen,
slapping him.
Then he smacked him, and then Pippen just laughed.
Oh yeah,
man, I don't care. I don't care what kind of rookie I am.
I know.
Let somebody slap me in the face. Let somebody touch my face.
I mean, he slapped him.
He slapped him, dude. And then it was so uncomfortable after that. It was like awkward.
Hey, but Oakley could do that to half the people in the league at least.
Yeah, he wasn't gonna come back Oakley.
Oakley was somebody. Man.
I just had to get my ass whooped that day, because I'll tell you right now, I ain't have him slap me. Slap me, I'll slap you back. EPMD.
Right, they had to bring Pippen back down to earth because he came in thinking he was gonna be better than Jordan.
Yeah. Right.
And he was like, "Nah, I don't think so."
Yeah.
Man.
But you know, you need that confidence.
But he was confident. You know, he was a confident player.
But he learned.
So, in today's game, would Pippen be considered soft?
No. He'd probably considered strong.
I don't think so.
No, we have so many soft players in this league. Man, come on, man. Right now, man, the league is so soft.
I don't think so.
Man,
yeah, that's what I'm about to say. Is 80s, 90s soft? 80s, 90s soft is different from the.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. I feel like Pippen, he'll come into now and look like he's Oakley. Yeah. That's how I feel, because that's how bad it is right now.
Yeah.
You got Embiid crying. Embiid hugging on the teammate of the other team. It's embarrassing, man. I feel like,
he got emotional.
Get yourself together, man.
So let's talk about the Bulls' 91 championship, their first championship.
So they finally
got the Lakers.
They finally got rid of Detroit. You know what ass, and
got the monkey off their back.
Got that monkey Isaiah Thomas off their back, and then they went straight into the Lakers, and they had Magic. I remember, man, I was like, we could take them, but I mean, they got Magic and Vlade and stuff like that, but I still feel like we got them. So how did you guys feel about that first game? And we lost.
well, let me ask you this. Let me ask you this before you answer that. Anybody answer the question? A lot of people say, the Bulls beat the Lakers, but the Lakers were on the down.
They were.
The team wasn't that great, and like anybody could beat the Lakers. You know.
I wouldn't say
the
that.
Lakers went to the championship, right?
They went to the championship, but they still were on.
They were that bad. They would have made it to the championship.
They still were on. That was probably their weakest Laker championship squad.
But see, now when you say that, then what did the rest of the West look like then? Because you're talking about an NBA when you got to win in the series, not the NFL when you can sneak to the championship with one and done game.
Yeah,
you're talking about a series. They beat the best of the West in the series get to the championship.
But I think
what team in the West, other than the Lakers,
could have won?
You know what I'm saying? Could have won.
I think any team that would have ran across the Bulls,
they would have lost.
They would have lost. At that point, the Bulls they were on another level. And
I think the reason why people are talking about the Lakers like that is because that was the worst Laker championship, run squad, like trying to get to a championship. That was the worst team to make it to the finals as a Laker. And so that's not saying they were a bad team. It's just to say that they weren't equipped.
That's the comparison to the other Lakers teams.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, exactly.
That's my point.
That's like saying a certain Jay-Z album is whack, but then you comparing it to the other Jay-Z album.
Right.
You know what I'm
They still
saying?
had some good players. They had Byron Scott. They had
Worthy. They had.
But Worthy was like a couple years away from retirement, right?
Yeah, even though
retirement,
they were still there. They were still playing. They had a young Vladdy, a Eldon Campbell.
Yep.
You know, they had a Magic. You know, I mean, look, if they got to the championship, they did something right.
They did.
Right.
They was able to score.
They took care of the West. They took care of the West. I don't feel like
better team.
They had
Bulls
Sam
was
Perkins.
Bulls was just way better.
They were a better team.
Yeah, they lost that first game and then won 4 in a row.
Yep.
You know, they just, and Jordan had at that time, you know, Jordan had foot problems. Remember, he had to play with he had to cut open his shoe and things like that. You remember he had to change his shoes a few times, like, you know, and things like that. And
Okay.
yeah, you know, so you know, I mean, hey, you know, people at that time, man, nobody's gonna use injury as an excuse. You can't. Whatever you say about the Lakers, they made it to the championship. What if they had beat the Bulls?
Yeah.
Then what the people would have been saying?
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So
Exactly.
you know, so now, no, go ahead.
No, I said the Bulls haters trying to tarnish their championships. You know.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that to me is no tarnish. It's just that the Lakers team wasn't the best Laker team, but they were the best in the West. So we played the best in the West and won.
Yes. Now with Jordan doing the layup when he came like this,
Yeah.
and did this. Did he have to do that?
I didn't think he had to do that.
He didn't have to do that. That was just showing out.
What, do you think he was going for a dunk and thinking somebody was going to contend it and he just said, "All right, I'm going to switch it up"? Or you think he was showing off?
I think
he anticipated somebody, you know, jumping and trying to block his shot or something, and then he was going to switch it, you know.
Yeah.
But God was like, you didn't have to do that.
He looked like he was going in for the dunk.
If that to me, that dunk would have been. What would have been better? What would have been better, that dunk or that move he made?
Because nobody jumped, but if nobody had jumped,
nobody was there.
They was like, "Oh, he's in the air. I'm not."
But he was high up. He was high up there. I feel like it would have been like nasty.
But the fact that he did that switch around,
that's iconic though.
That was nice.
It was just like something nobody expected.
And didn't they make that a move? Didn't they make that move in NBA Live? Wasn't that like an automatic move? You know how they had the signature moves? Didn't they ever make that?
No, they did the reverse. It was the reverse layup.
Oh yeah.
It was the reverse layup. Yeah.
That made me think of that Chambers pump dunk all the time.
Yeah.
Remember Tom Chambers? He coming off the free throw.
Oh yeah, Tom Chambers. Yeah.
Have you guys, with Pippen on Magic? Have you ever seen somebody slow Magic down like that?
Ooh, man.
Pippen was on Magic though. He
was picking up Magic full court.
Yeah.
All over him.
Yeah, Magic
long
said,
arms.
Magic said nobody had got him like that before.
Nobody got him like that before.
Yeah, so that was pretty
That was
major.
a difference maker right there. Big time.
That was a good adjustment, huh?
Oh yeah.
That was
Big
great,
time.
man. I think all around, man, it was that whole championship for the Bulls, man. It propelled them, and it was time, man. And I saw nothing but good things going forward, man. I didn't feel like they were going to be stopped at all, and I think that was a great ending to episode 4, man. Just to wrap it up, just that brought back a lot of memories, man. It's just all of us, man, just getting together. That I really miss that for every championship, man. We got together.
I think, man. You know, with Pippen should have really got his props.
Yeah,
for slowing a person down like Magic, because you never seen somebody do that to Magic, and that showed a lot of game in Pippen, all around game on both ends of the court. Like, because I mean, Jordan got dope defensive skills, and we would have liked to see Jordan guard. You know, they was saving his energy for the offense. You know, but you know, Jordan guarding Magic like that, could he have did the same, you know, or
Yeah.
match it, you know what I'm saying? Like we would have never know, but Pippen should have got his props, man.
Right.
Should've
Right.
been
And I heard Rodman made a comment. I think it was yesterday. I was watching something. He made a comment saying that when Jordan left the Bulls, Pippen led the team in all stats.
Hey, we gonna find out about that in the next.
And he was like the best player in the world. This is what Rodman said.
Hey, we gonna find out more about that in the other episode, right?
That's another story.
We're gonna get deep into that, and I appreciate everybody for watching. You know, we covered 3 and 4 this time. Man, The Last Dance. I can't wait to see the completion. At the same time, I'll be sad to see 9 and 10 because then I know it's over. But still, man, I can't wait to see it. I hope you guys keep watching. Listen to our breakdown of it. And we still got what 3 and 4. We got 5 and 6. 5 and 6 coming up,
5
man.
and 6 coming up next.
All right, coming up next, man. You might as well just click on that button. It's probably already done. All right, guys.
Come back, check us out.
Holla.
See you then.
Yeah.
Yo, thanks for watching the Ballers Club Sports Channel, and make sure you subscribe. But don't forget, you want to see that next episode, right? Go ahead and click on it. Or if you want to see something else, man, we got so much other sports things that you can watch. Click on that too. But make sure you like and subscribe. It's important. All right.